Jackie Robinson hit that ball. It went zooming across the left field wall. Yeah, boy.
Yes, yes, Jackie hit that ball.
He swung his bat, the crowd went wild because he knocked that ball a solid mile. Yeah, boy.
Yes, yes, Jackie hit that ball. Satchel Paige is mellow, so is Campanello, Newcomb and Dobie too. But it's a natural fact, when Jackie comes to bat, the other team is through.
Did you see Jackie Robinson hit that ball? He hit it, yes, and that ain't all. He's so home.
Yes, yes, Jackie's real gone.
Robinson hit that ball. He hit it, yes, and that ain't all. He's so home.
Yes, yes, Jackie's real gone. Jackie is a real gone guy.
Well, I knew the importance of the occasion. I remember Mr. Rickey saying to me that I couldn't fight back, and I wondered whether or not I was going to be able to do this. I knew that this was bigger than any one individual, and I would have to do whatever I possibly could to control myself. I felt real good as an American, much more so than as being the first Negro in organized baseball.
There is no greater figure in terms of the impact on the social history in America than Jackie Robinson. In April 1947, when Jackie took the field for the Brooklyn Dodgers, not only did he integrate, break the color line of Major League Baseball, but he really broke the color line for mainstream America.
It's unusual to inaugurate an athlete onto a human rights walkway, but what Jackie Robinson did was very unusual for an athlete.
Well, you know, we have a lot of baseball history of our own in Côte Saint-Luc, and we have a human rights walkway that really doesn't have anybody that dealt with human rights in sports, and who more appropriate than Jackie Robinson.
Stepping up to the plate. What did it mean to Jackie Robinson? It meant much more than just another turn at bat. It meant going to bat for human rights.
Many of you probably know the history of discrimination that the African American community experienced in the United States. And slavery was actually something that was upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court in the Dred Scott case in the 1850s, where it basically said that a runaway slave was never actually free and had to be returned to his master. Then, after the Civil War, the U.S. Congress in the Reconstruction era passed the 14th Amendment that said that people were supposed to be treated equally, and that black men, only men, because only white men had the vote, were given the vote. And so for a period of time in the U.S. and the southern states during Reconstruction, you had blacks holding public office. You had a series of years where blacks gained more and more equality. And then white Southerners started taking back that equality and passing more and more laws that tried to put back the African American into his old place in society. And that was the era of segregation, which was upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court in 1896 in the Plessy versus Ferguson case. And African Americans in most southern states were living under that segregated, separate but equal policy for over 50 years when Jackie Robinson was first invited by Branch Rickey to play for the Montreal Royals. And Branch Rickey and Jackie Robinson both knew it was going to be very difficult in many states in the U.S. for people to accept a black Major League Baseball player. Et une des raisons que je suis la plus fière d'accueillir Jackie Robinson sur notre promenade de la droite de la personne, c'est qu'il avait une histoire ici à Montréal. On a accueilli Jackie Robinson à Montréal et on non seulement l'a accepté, mais on l'a embrassé. Et bien avant beaucoup d'autres parties de la monde, les Montréalais et les Montréalaises ont accepté un athlète noir. On a vu que c'est pas important la couleur de la peau de quelqu'un, mais simplement que la personne est une bonne athlète sur le terrain de jeu.
When Jackie Robinson breaks into baseball, it's 7 years before Brown versus Board of Education. It's almost a decade before Martin Luther King comes to national prominence. It's almost 2 decades before significant civil rights legislation. It's hard to imagine the America, for those of us who weren't there to see it, the America into which Jackie Robinson projects himself.
When I met Jackie Robinson, was in spring training in 1946 after I spent a full year playing for the Montreal Royals in 1945. Jackie Robinson had to stay in the black side of town and was driven to the ballpark by a black preacher every morning at 8:30 in the morning. And Jackie and I used to spend at least a good hour before the team arrived because we were afraid we'd be late for practice. We used to discuss my year in Montreal the year before, and he used to ask me the questions about how he would be taken in Montreal as a black person. That particular year in 1945, we had 2 black Alouette football players playing for us, and they were loved by the public. I had told him that he wouldn't have a problem at all, and as intelligent as he was, and as the way he spoke, he was a beautiful man, and it was a pleasure to be with him for those 30 days every morning.
If it wasn't for Jackie Robinson, there is no athlete of color who would be playing any type of sport, period. Period. So glad that you are here to listen to this story because Jackie Robinson paved the way. He is a hero forever.
You have hopes and fears, and you have, very mixed feelings about being in that situation because you're not sure that you're really up to it, that you really can manage it, or that you can do anything about segregation, which was a huge thing. But you begin to think, what can we do within our own circle, within our own environment, and then will that translate into something changed? We began to see that our mission was larger than just Jack getting a job and us being a good wedded couple. Neither Jack nor I ever felt like we were movers and shakers or big time anything. We were doing what came naturally to us. We were doing what we wanted to do, what we'd been taught was important.
I salute Jackie Robinson, I salute Branch Rickey, and I salute the people of the island of Montreal that were able to, well before people in many other places in the world, understand that it shouldn't matter what color you are. It should only matter if you're a great baseball player, if you're on that diamond.
Jackie Robinson hit that ball. It went zooming across the left field wall. Yeah, boy.
Yes, Jackie hit that ball.
And when he swung his bat, the crowd went wild because he knocked that ball a solid mile. Yeah, boy.
Yes, Jackie hit that ball. Satchel Paige is mellow, so is Campanella. Newcomb and Dobie too. But it's a natural fact when Jackie comes to bat, the other team is through.
Did you see Jackie Robinson?